Hello and welcome to the Too Much Time on Our Hands podcast. If you're joining us on the YouTube stream tonight, thank you very much. Wave, just wave. That's why they're here. Wave, wave, wave. Try not to disappear into Dan's beautiful eyes and manly muscular arm. Obviously, someone's show.
Can I gun hide him?
We're at the gun show. Thanks for joining us tonight. Also, if you're listening to us on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, whichever platform you choose to use, thank you very much. It's great to have all you listeners there listening to us and not watching us on the stream. You know, I said I wouldn't be passive aggressive, but I renege on that deal. So, you know, that's how that is. We are the Awesome Foursome, the Too Much Time on Our Hands podcast team. We're going to be taking a look at some news today, but probably no news is bigger than the news that Microsoft is acquiring Activision Blizzard and was it King? I think it is as well.
Yeah, like all of it.
A whole lot. The whole thing. Is it King?
King. It's the ones that own Candy Crush.
Have they just basically bought out everyone?
Pretty much.
Well, we'll get
getting there, aren't they?
Yeah. And Sony are next.
Absolutely. But before we dive into that, quick introductions all round. Duncan, hello.
Bonjour.
Dan, hello.
Hi, Tom. Can I just quickly get a quick round of fuck PlayStation?
Yeah, fuck
PlayStation. Yeah, fuck you, PlayStation.
Fuck you, PlayStation. You suck balls. And hello, Dan.
Hi.
Hello, Russ.
Good evening.
And
hello, Tom.
I am, of course, Tom. As I said, this is a news podcast. Dan's favourite format. And we obviously, as I've said, you know, the big news at the moment that we're all reeling from is Microsoft acquiring yet another massive amount of companies for an ungodly amount of money. And I'll hand over to Dan to kick us off because, well, his name should say it all. Fuck Bobby Kotick.
Yeah, what a fucking dickhead. So there is a lot to unpack with this. Should we get the serious stuff out of the way?
Sure.
How fucking horrible an organisation Activision Blizzard actually is that Xbox have just bought. Like we should probably talk about like all the downside of things, which is that it's a big corporation that's acquired another big corporation, and that generally isn't good for business in general. But as gamers, we might win at least short term when all those wonderful games come.
As people that own Xboxes.
As people that own Xboxes, we might be okay with that.
There's PlayStation.
Fuck you, PlayStation. There's a darker side to all of this, though, which is that Activision Blizzard have been going through some serious issues, like from a number of different angles, whether it be sexual harassment, whether it be the way it treats its staff in terms of working conditions in general. They are not a fucking lovely company. And people, Bobby Kotick, or Kotick, or whatever, however you pronounce the fucking name, Kotick. Yeah, is at the centre of all of this, having known about all of it and having information that basically he withheld because essentially it meant that he earned more money and he earned his shareholders more money. So let's start with the fact that he's going to be still with the company until the end of the year, which is when the acquisition will go through next year. And at that point, he should step down. Stepping down, we'll get into...
I suspect he might not be given a lot of choice about that.
I don't think he will either. So the hope is, the first thing that I think any of us should want from all of this is for Microsoft to improve the working practices of Activision and Blizzard. That should be the most important thing that happens.
Mm-hmm.
That has been the biggest comment about it on Twitter going, so you're now going to make sure they're not a massive pile of shit to everyone.
So if you want some of the accusations that have been levelled at Blizzard, I've brought some up here. Miss Stein, 28, who worked for Activision. This is on The Verge, from The Verge, 2014 to 2017, a customer service role. Miss Stein said she had once declined drugs that her manager offered her at a holiday party, 2014, which soured their relationship and hampered her career, suggesting she might be into some freaky stuff and asking what type of pornography she watched. This is at work, by the way. She said she had also overheard male colleagues joking that some women had their jobs only because they performed sexual favours to male superiors. So that's a good start. Nice one, Activision there. We've got Emily Mitchell. When she got to a table, she said she was asked about the penetration testing position. She worked for a black hat cybersecurity conference, and she worked for a cybersecurity company. Penetration testing, or pen testing, is the industry term for security audit audit. Mitchell said she was wearing a t-shirt made by cybersecurity company Secure State, which had penetration expert on the front. One of the Blizzard employees first asked if she was lost. Another one asked if she was at the conference with her boyfriend. Another one asked even knew what pen testing was. One of them asked me when was the last time I was personally penetrated, if I liked being penetrated, and how often I got penetrated. These guys are real pieces of shit. Now, as it turns out, it looks like they've got rid of 44 members of... Sorry, they've got rid of 37 members of staff because of this. Sorry, 37 members of staff have now left the company because of this, which is their much more PR-friendly way of putting it. And 44 other members of staff have been reprimanded. This goes deeper than this. There are reports of rape. There is reports of a woman who committed suicide because a picture of her vagina was sent around the entire company, basically. This is a fucking disgusting company that needs a gutting of all the horrible issues they have going there. And that's the first thing Microsoft needs to deal with. The second thing Microsoft needs to deal with is the fact that Raven have fired a number of their quality control testers, and as a result, half that company is on strike at the moment. And what we're seeing is that Call of Duty Warzone is a buggy piece of shit because they've got no quality control testers on it at the moment, because half of them walked out and are on strike. And it's all because of the working practices put in place by one Mr. Bobby Kotick at the top of Activision Blizzard. This is a massive issue. And essentially, he has made a career from making shareholders money by making employees redundant when they fulfill their usefulness. There is no kind of like holdover employees. There's no belief that you get the best out of your employees by keeping them on, training them, and getting them to do the job the best they possibly can. It's all about getting them in for a short period of time on the lowest contract possible, and then getting them out of the building.
So, in the long run, does this mean that actually Activision and Blizzard might just exist as a name only? Or they
No, I mean, you've got to remember there are actually good people that work for these companies.
Yeah,
people that
but what
actually
I wouldn't be surprised if Activision as a name disappears and just gets absorbed into Microsoft, because it's the most kind of tainted, and it's a publisher, isn't it? It doesn't actually make anything. So it's not a studio. They could quite easily just sort of absorb the functions and just call it part of Xbox or whatever.
That's kind of what I mean, is that they'll potentially just keep the people that are useful, the good ones that are useful, the good, because there's obviously are good people there. It's just again treated
not
like
going to
shit.
It's not going to be as simple as that. So obviously, Kotick does seem to be like the nexus of this culture, and he's going to have to go for anything kind of credible. Any credible change will only be possible if he's gone, I think.
So
and I would imagine that Mike, they know what's going on. You don't spend $70 billion on something without doing your research. So I would be amazed if the contract does not include provision for him being paid off and leaving.
So is this Microsoft just basically becoming the majority shareholder, or have they completely bought it out?
They haven't actually.
Shareholder?
It's a cash purchase.
It's not been completely finalised yet, but basically they are just slapping down a massive gold bar and taking over.
They're buying all the shares at a rate, I think it was published at $95 per share.
45% premium on the share price or something. It's quite.
Fucking hell.
They're not. I mean, it's not a cheap. I mean, this is the biggest deal in the games industry of any type ever, basically.
Yeah.
So, this is basically handing over all the money is going well.
So it's a huge deal. Obviously, Microsoft aren't just doing this for the fun of it. They see a lot of value in here, but they will. And Microsoft is an organisation that is very conscious of this sort of thing, and it's quite kind of sensitive of how it's perceived. So it will not want this sort of stuff following it around. There's always going to, there will always be, with an organisation of that size, there's always going to be some things, but it's not going to want this poisonous culture absorbed.
No, definitely not. It's funny you mention that, because the newly appointed Microsoft Gaming CEO, Phil Spencer, who is someone I've generally had a lot of time for by reports. People that have worked with him said that he's a good person to work with.
But he has stolen a lot of our ideas.
He has, from his fucking bathtub.
From his bathtub.
Yeah. Phil Spencer in his bathtub. We haven't used that nearly enough. But he sent an email out to the staff, and I think it's quite encouraging. Welcome back from holidays to start. I'd like to thank everyone for all the hard work and dedication they have built this business and the community. Obviously, today's agreement to acquire Activision Blizzard is incredibly exciting. In fact, it's a milestone for our company, our business, and our industry. And I and the entire gaming leadership team are deeply enthusiastic about this opportunity. We announced this morning that we have surpassed 25 million Game Pass subscribers across console, cloud, and PC. As players and partners, we all know how talented and dedicated the teams and studios across Activision Blizzard are. I'm assuming. The legendary games and franchises across the company have delighted millions of people for decades. Coming together, we can accelerate our mission to extend the joy and community of gaming to everyone. We have the capability and opportunity to build simply the best, most engaging, most fun entertainment ecosystem anywhere. Microsoft is committed to our journey of inclusion in every aspect of gaming amongst employees and players. We deeply value individual studio culture. We also believe that creative success and autonomy go hand in hand with treating every person with dignity and respect. We hold all teams and all leaders to this commitment. We're looking forward to extending our culture of proactive inclusion to the great teams across Activision Blizzard. So when they acquired Bethesda, it was very much, we're going to let Bethesda go do what they want.
They didn't say that. I mean, that's about as close to saying we're going to change everything as you can get.
Exactly, yeah.
So that kind of it will not be quick. It's not an overnight thing to change a culture like that. But this kind of event means they can go in there. They can wield some fairly hefty axes and get rid of people that they know are going to be an issue.
What was that, Tom?
It's a happy birthday balloon.
It was a happy birthday balloon from my wife's 40th that was creeping in. It was being blown by a little fan I have in here, and I've moved it. Sorry, I didn't mean it to.
That's funny. I think that is encouraging. I think that, well, I say with Bethesda, they've just left them to their own devices. I think Microsoft need to be very hands-on with this.
It's really encouraging. I mean, that's saying exactly the right thing.
Yeah.
We'll have to see if it actually happens, because it's just an email at the moment.
It is,
but you would. I don't have much reason to think that they wouldn't be putting a lot of effort into realigning the culture. And I would expect that Activision as an entity will disappear and be absorbed into other teams. The studios will be managed in the same way that all the other Xbox studios are. They don't have a publisher sitting between them and Microsoft. Microsoft is the publisher.
Dan has said games developers should start forming unions and striking if they want better pay and better working conditions. This is one of the things Raven are actually doing at the moment while they're striking as well, trying to unionize, which I think it would be good for a games industry that is. It's easy to forget how young the games industry is and how it keeps making really dumb mistakes, repeatedly, and that would be a good way of waking up the entire industry. I think that's a really good shout.
The interesting thing is, though, that it's almost, and I hate to draw parallels with crimes that we've seen that some might describe as worse than what is undoubtedly an awful toxic work environment, utterly toxic, dripping with radiation, horrible. But of course, there's that whole Savile, inquiries that went on, people knowing about it, blowing the whistle when they could, and people trying to bring this to light and stuff. I think the state of Activision was one of those industry sort of, it was a known secret that people spoke about every now and then in hushed tones. But of course, the name Activision was, it's a great name to have on your CV. And the thing that has dismayed me the most is reading some of the witness statements, some of the people who suffered at the hands there, who start most of them with, well, I'd heard stories and I'd heard, I'd been warned when I first went, when I was first telling people I'd applied and stuff, I'd been given warnings, but I honestly didn't think it was as bad as it was going to turn out to be. And those are the bits that make me most upset, really, that people know about it and honestly can't bring it to light enough for things to actually change until it becomes a scandal of this proportion.
People get their dream job and then this happens, and that's fucking.
And some just,
awful.
in their statements were saying they just soldiered on. They just went on because they wanted to get a few years there under their belt, and they put up with it. I read one. PC Gamer actually spoke to 3 former members of staff, former female members of staff, not formerly female, but former female members of staff is the right way to put it. And one of them was saying how, alcohol-fueled parties with all the most toxic male members of staff would
described as a frat house is what I've heard.
Frat house, with women being invited to them, and encouraged to, debase themselves, and it's heartening to hear that, some of the people interviewed in that article were smart enough to just get out of there and go and not go into that party. But one of them was saying, well, I went into one of them and it was awful and I hated it and I felt awful and I avoided this member. I tried to avoid this particular member of staff, and it just paints a picture of an incredibly humiliating environment to work in. It's awful, really. It also just brings home how lucky a lot of us are to work in companies that aren't like that at all. I count myself very lucky to work with a very diverse gender and belief and religious religious beliefs, a team of people who are incredibly diverse and all encouraged and all have the same opportunities.
Phil Spencer just released his top team, basically. There's 13 people, and in those 13 people, then 7 of them are women, and there's a variety of different ethnicities in there as well. And it's one of those things that it shouldn't be an issue for me to actually say that is a good thing. But then you see so many, particularly games companies that are just
especially in the games industry.
Yeah, look at all these white dudes that are at the top. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it used to be the case about politics. I mean, do you remember when? I mean, this is the thing. You remember when Tony Blair first came to power in '97? It only took a couple of weeks before he named his cabinet, and the Sun published that spread. Blair's Babes, making a big song and dance about the fact that he had quite a lot of female members of his cabinet and junior ministry. I think the world has moved on quite a bit for being amazed that there's a woman who can do a job that was traditionally filled by men purely because of whatever was the sort of the societal norm of the time. It shouldn't matter, and like you say, it's almost that there is that moment where you find yourself saying things like, it's great to see so many women on that board. Actually, it shouldn't even, it's great to see so many people who've been picked because they know what they're doing. And that surely should be the point.
And I don't think there should be. Yeah, sorry, Duncan, go on.
There's a great book called Invisible Women, and it makes a lot of these points, especially and actually highlights the issues within. It wasn't actually the game development, though games did come up. It was mainly in like Silicon Valley, in places actually like Google, and where they are supposed to be a meritocracy, but for some reason, because they also rely on algorithms, for some reason the way the algorithms have been devised have actually, because of it's usually a white male devising the algorithm, that the algorithm picks up more on the male characteristics. So they've those they talk about meritocracies, they don't. They doesn't exist, and actually it's not the gaming, but it's actually a lot of the computer industry. This book was actually highlighting that actually the computer industry had a problem. I mean, in my own experience, what I always said to Emma, academic world is terrible for it still, but it is changing. It's just changing slowly, but because dinosaurs still roam the land, which is a very, very sad but true case. And you shouldn't be like amazed that there's a woman in aquaculture, but not that long ago there used to be an award that was given out for women in aquaculture, and one woman won it because she was basically the only one, and that was like terrible. That's quite depressing. That so it shouldn't be highlighted, but it probably is important to highlight because it's still a really, really real problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is important to highlight it. You should be aiming to get to the point where it's just taken for granted and people don't really comment about it. But at the moment, it absolutely should be highlighted and it should be recognised and appreciated when it does happen.
Yeah.
So I think the other thing, this is obviously Microsoft know that like they are becoming responsible for these employees, and they know that the eyes of the industry are going to be firmly on them. And it's not even just the games industry. You see articles about Activision in the mainstream press.
Yeah.
So they're not going to take this on if it's going to turn into a PR shitstorm for them. They know that they need to be proactive and be seen to be doing things to improve the conditions there. So
well, absolutely.
I'm hoping that a lot of the people that work at Activision were very happy to hear this news.
Well, potentially, apparently it's been a mixed bag of people that are actually trying to actively do something, like the people at Raven, who are slightly concerned that this is now just going to get lost in the mix, whilst they're trying to actually make a point, and people that are genuinely happy that some pieces of shit have gone. But I do think it's Microsoft only had the opportunity to buy Activision in the first place was because their share prices dropped so low. And admittedly, 70 billion is still not a drop in the ocean, is it? But it was still cheaper than they would have been, say, a year ago.
But I mean that is one of the consequences of acting like this. If you treat your people like shit and it gets in the news, your share price will get tanked and your company will get taken over.
Yeah, it's really interesting actually, because the owner and operator of the company I work for has always said what Richard Branson has always said, which is if you look after the people, everything else takes care of itself. You will have an engaged workforce that will work harder for your customers, that will work harder for your business. And it's not just good enough these days to look after people, if you know what I mean. You have to help them, develop them, coach them, promote them, instill good values in them. And unfortunately, that is just not what was happening. I mean, and fundamentally, this is the point. It surely shouldn't matter that it's a games company, because at the end of the day, it's a company. It operates on the same lines as any other company. It's creating a product, and it has a workforce that is driven to create. And some of those people manage, and some of those people lead. Some of those people are the people on the front line. It shouldn't matter. What you want in a company is to instill the kind of anecdotal love for your work, like the brilliant story from NASA that always gets turned out at this point is that when people were walking around the NASA offices in the 60s, they asked a janitor, "What are you doing?" And instead of saying, "I'm cleaning shit off the floor or vomit from last night's party," he said, "I'm helping put a man on the moon." You want people to have that sort of engagement with it, whether you are cleaning toilets in an office all the way up. You are a part of that family. You're a part of that kind of thing.
So here's a rundown of what Bobby Kotick stands to earn, depending on the circumstances that he leaves in. And bearing in mind, he's in the middle of a federal investigation there's a year before Microsoft fully acquire Activision. So in the event of death, he stands to make $252 million.
Okay,
disability,
but he will be dead.
Yeah, but it's payment out to his family.
Yeah, he doesn't get to enjoy it though.
No. Termination by Activision Blizzard for cause, $264,000. Termination by Activision Blizzard without cause or termination by employee for good reason, $265 million. Termination by Activision Blizzard without cause or termination by employee for good reason following a change of control, $292,970, $341 billion. $1 million, sorry, not billion. Yeah.
See, now this is the point, isn't it, though? Because surely in his contract it must have said somewhere, "I will uphold the values of Activision. I won't turn it into a fucking toxic workplace." This is almost
that's where that termination for cause thing is.
Yeah,
but it's almost at the point where you see these people about to walk away. I don't care whether it's $256 million or whether it's $260,000. It's still people walking away with a lot of money after completely destroying the business they've been in. It's like Sir Fred Goodwin, with the RBS, with basically drilling RBS into a massive hole and walking away with his pension completely intact. Because I guarantee you, at no point in his contract did it actually say, I hereby solemnly swear to destroy this bank. And subject to those terms, I will still get my pension. It's fundamentally the greasy, awful side of the business world that these executives have contracts like this. It is utterly unthinkable. If you've promoted a toxic culture in your workplace that has destroyed the view and the perception of your business in the eye of the general public, you haven't done a good job.
No, he is culpable for all of this, and he is in the middle of a federal investigation. So what we are hoping for is termination by Activision Blizzard for cause, in which case he only gets $264,000.
Oh dear, diddums.
Yep. Termination by Activision. So, but most likely, if none of this has gone through by the time Microsoft actually acquire Activision Blizzard, then he's set to make $292 million. Piece of fucking shit.
Yeah, but
Well, there's a federal investigation.
Yeah.
Isn't there that line in The Social Network where she says, you are going to have to settle and you're going to have to pay a little extra, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a speeding ticket. Maybe it's even that amount of money is not a insurmountable amount of money to pay to get rid of the problem at its root and hopefully excise it from the industry as a whole, because there's no way that guy's getting employment in the games industry again.
No, he's fucked. He's in his 60s. He's going to retire now.
Got a theory.
Okay. Let me just say that it's a very real chance that he walks away with a lot of money.
Almost.
But then you have to weigh up going, are the staff going to be happier at least? It still leaves a really bad taste in my mouth, but at least the possibility that the staff will be happier makes me slightly happier about it.
There's not really an option that ends with something like satisfying. He's going to walk away with a lot of money. That's just how the world works, unfortunately, with these things.
Duncan, what are you going to say? Sorry, buddy.
So my current working theory on mainly because I've co-founded a lovely company with lovely, wonderful person, Paddy, and I've shared my theory with her because I've been dealing with various other problematic people, and generally when I've had disgruntled arguments debates sometimes online, or with some of the issues I've come across, and the people that really rile other people up generally seem to be white men that are in their late 50s or early 60s, and they hold some very weird views, and this is an old man thing. This is just the problem. These are the problems. And it's in very particular industries which are basically revolved around some form of engineering.
I think where you should be slightly concerned is that these people also brought up a bunch of 20-year-olds that have very similar views now.
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, it's every time, we had a meeting with the robotics guy, and no, I didn't. I couldn't make it in the end, but he creeped. Paddy came away going, I just didn't like him. He was weird and he patronised me and stuff. I was like, I never got that. But what age do you think he is? And she was like, well, probably late 50s, early 60s. I was like, boom, he's an engineer and he's at that. So it's that kind of, it's just, it is awkward. But they're not even, they're a bit younger than my dad. And I don't think my dad is that. But it might be, I don't know. But
it's not all.
Yeah, it's not a blanket. It is
a blanket.
But think
of the government. What are they, if not in their 50s and white?
Well, they're
fucking stinky.
Is what they are. They're
people who are of that age in the games industry are the people that were there from the beginning, and they have that sense of, we invented this, we made this, we created this in our image. It was full of, and when it was a brand new industry, it was full of people that was their passion, and they did that 24/7. But this was little teams of people, frantically just trying to get something made. It's not that anymore, and you can't run it like it is.
White men in their 60s are the fucking problem.
Well, yeah, but I mean, speaking of someone
not
who will
wrong.
be a white man in his 60s and not all that long, let's try and change that.
Yeah, well, exactly. I'm hoping that we will be future, but I have pointed this out, and if it turns out I become like that, then I'm willing to be told, and then I'll just go and leave everyone be.
Tarp it. Yeah.
An interesting comment has actually come through here. Funny Richard Branson gets mentioned despite asking his Virgin Atlantic staff to take 8 weeks unpaid leave during the height of COVID.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to say that that's not a bad business decision and doesn't look good from the outside looking in. But there were a lot of companies that found it difficult to access the furlough scheme properly. I don't know whether Virgin Atlantic were as well. I personally took a pay cut for 4 months to keep working.
Virgin Atlantic were one of the cheekier companies.
They were quite cunty with it,
asking for huge amounts of government bailouts when he's spaffing all his money on spaceship trips. It's not a good look.
Again, though, I mean, I was using it as a general intention on part of Branson, who has always been very outspoken about that.
I think the best way of putting it is that he should have followed his own advice.
Yeah, absolutely,
potentially in that situation. So yeah,
well, he has a thing where like the people that work for his company, like the main bit of his company, like the culture there is you don't have a set amount of holiday. You just take holiday whenever you feel like you need it. But that does not extend to the people that are driving trains on Virgin East Coast or whatever it was called before it got taken over, and doesn't extend to the cabin crew on Virgin Atlantic and all that kind of stuff. So he's got some good ideas and theories, struggles a bit to actually put them into effective practice throughout all parts of his organisation.
Absolutely, and look, I think that there's good things to take from it. There's bad things to take from it.
He does have, and I think this is one of the best rich dude flexes in the world. On his private island, there's a toilet, which is just a toilet on the edge of a cliff, with nothing around it at all.
So basically,
that's the dream.
Basically, like Rick Sanchez's toilet planet.
You have weird dreams. Should we move on? More fun stuff. Troy Baker has backed an NFT firm and done it in quite an antagonistic way. We're using the line either hate or create. Now, he's since backtracked because this company turned out to be a bunch of fucktards. But he has the fact that he backed this really... I mean, he was trending just below Joe Rogan, I think, for the longest time. Essentially, his idea, what he thought the company was you take... AI created voice modulation, and then people that are making smaller games can pay this company a smaller amount than paying Troy Baker to come in and just use his voice files essentially in their game. But it's since come out that the company that he backed has been stealing voice files from other people already, because that's what crypto bros seem to fucking love doing. What the fuck is going on with NFTs for starters? What the fuck is going on with the crypto bros? I did giggle a bit when I found out that $15 million worth of Ethereum was stolen from one of these online banks. So,
I mean, speaking about crypto, did you see that last year the figures have come out that North Korea were the ones that were the country, the sort of terrorist state, if you want to call them that, the state that stole the most cryptocurrency. It was. I'll dig up the figure. I mean, obviously, you guys can talk about it yourself for a moment. But it was on PC Gamer, and I'll find the exact figure. But it's a great article, just seeing what they were stealing.
Dan, I totally agree. I don't think we should rely on business leaders to look out for us out of their own good, will/morals. No, I agree. But I mean, what else have we got at the moment? We've got ourselves, and that's about it.
What happens if I become a business leader?
What? Oh, I won't try. I don't trust you already, Duncan. So,
Here we go. In a report by Chain Analysis, this is from PCGamer.com, it's expected that North Korean hackers made off with at least $400 million worth of digital assets over the course of the past year. And it says, this is my favourite line of the whole thing, they're unlikely to give it back. Absolutely brilliant. The article was written by Hope Corrigan, who is rapidly becoming one of my favourite features writers on PC Gamer, because she always deals with these sort of industry columns, and they're brilliant. She's such a good writer.
I'm going to say again, Dan, you're preaching to the choir. It's about leverage and bargaining power, which is why forming unions and striking is so important. I totally agree. I completely agree. I don't agree with anything. Don't disagree with anything you're saying. We're just saying what's happening, and that some things are slightly better than other things that are actually really, really shit. And ideally, we'd like everything to be really, really good. So I'm fully on board with that.
Although, can I just jump in here? Sorry, I know it's all about leverage and bargaining power, but I have to say that at the height of COVID, for example, we at we at the company I work for, all looked towards our leader to, Andy, to lead us. And he is a business leader, a man who's made millions of pounds because of the hard sweat pouring off of his forehead every single day. And we did look out to him, and he has an incredibly strong set of morals and principles and values that he tries to instill at every level of his company. He's perhaps the exception that proves the rule, but I think if you've got a good one, you've got a good one, and and rely on them and look to them for leadership and guidance.
I think the problem is there is a lot of cunts out there. That's the biggest issue.
There is, but just because they're good at business, I don't think they should be tarred. And again, I'm not saying anyone said that. I'm just saying that I don't think you can tar everyone with the same brush.
You can't just say
they're not looking after their employees.
You can't define any group and say these people are all arseholes. The people who are arseholes are arseholes.
Are the arseholes,
and they're everywhere. They're all over the place. What's bad is when they're in a position of power and influence over other people.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll. Do you see this thing about his big idea to change the public narrative about Activision? His idea was to buy PC Gamer or Kotaku.
I was going to mention this. Yeah,
and presumably have them just churn out loads of articles talking about how great they are now.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously took a leaf out the British government's book, but I
was going to say, it sounds very Murdoch, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's very
it's
you
amazing.
You are admitting you've got a problem there, where you think you need to buy a media outlet to churn out your party line.
Boris Johnson apologises for parties, says the Mail. Boris Johnson apologises for parties, says the Mirror. Boris Johnson apologises for parties, says the Sun. Not the Sun. The Sun would be commenting on something completely different. Pound holiday to France or something like that. Or not, probably, actually, at the moment, thinking about it. But it's funny how they seem to...
No, because a holiday to France now would be a minimum £7.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we allowed into France at the moment? I think we're still banned from France, aren't we?
Probably.
God, we've just gone the way of all of our football hooligans. It's so bad. Crypto.com reportedly suffers hack, losing $15 million in Ethereum.
Can you imagine that Alan Partridge shrugging gif?
Yeah. Here's some more good news. CPUs and GPUs are going to be more expensive in 2022.
Hooray.
Yay.
Is that if they actually exist?
And they're always more expensive, aren't they?
They exist because I've seen them on YouTube channels. That's the only way we'll ever.
Was it graphic cards that don't exist at the moment?
Well, that is the chips in graphics cards and CPUs. So yeah, and everything else,
and cars and personal devices, and
yeah. So that happened.
PC Gamer actually published a very funny list of. I'll just say go onto PCGamer.com after this, anyone, and look at the 28 things that are possible once Microsoft owns Activision Blizzard, because some of them are absolutely hilarious. The first one just tickled me because of what we were talking about. It just said, Apple feels serious fear of missing out and panic buys Electronic Arts for $68.8 billion.
Well, sure. So, yeah, there are huge cultural and business implications to this, but what's this going to do for Game Pass?
So, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Fuck you, PlayStation. A Game Pass will receive a ton of Activision Blizzard games following acquisition. It's been reported, apparently, which is a no-brainer, really. So, I'm assuming we are set to get the entire Call of Duty back catalogue. Do you remember how when Bethesda we're done with the negative stuff. The negative stuff is really, really shit, and there is a lot of negative stuff. But also, short term, let's take this as a little win.
It's not negative stuff. broadly, I'm seeing this as a good thing, both for the company and the people that work there, broadly, and people with Xboxes. The only people who are fucked over by this, hopefully, are Bobby Kotick and PlayStation owners. There is, but if you like,
PlayStation owners.
Microsoft, like, they make a lot of noise about like making games more accessible to more people, which is true if they have a Game Pass subscription. Like, they are starting to look a little bit dangerously monopolistic at this point.
But in terms of revenue, they are still the third biggest company behind Tencent and Sony. So it's getting there, but there's no way this is going to be stopped. So, so Game Pass, what they're saying about getting players out to everyone. Jack's pointing out Microsoft now owns Spyro and Crash, the two mascots that built PlayStation. It's I don't really hate PlayStation. I want to stress that, by the way, but it's still quite funny.
Just feeling very validated in your console choice right now.
Oh yeah.
Look, we're doing it because it's a catchphrase that we can put on merch when this all takes off.
So I mean, they haven't announced everything that's coming to Game Pass. They did announce 9 more games to Game Pass, which I will tell you what they are as soon as I find the little tab that I've got open for it.
Can I quickly read you number 27 on the list?
Please do.
This is a work of genius. Full credit to PC Gamer for this one. As the New York Times correctly purports, the 68.7 billion sale is about one thing only: the metaverse. Using the extreme body heat of all the constantly furious Call of Duty players it now owns and has placed into Matrix like energy pods filled with pink jello, Microsoft is the first to develop and unveil the metaverse. Mark Zuckerberg is crushed to lose the battle for the metaverse and renames Meta to The Facebook. But as foretold by Justin Timberlake in that movie, the isn't clean and the Facebook quickly tanks. Its users, hungry for a constant stream of COVID conspiracy theories and MLM schemes, flock to Microsoft's new metaverse. Meanwhile, Tim Sweeney's heartbreakingly beautiful vision of a metaverse, a place where automobile manufacturers can more easily sell you a car, tragically never comes to pass. Despondent and drunk on catfish-flavoured moonshine, he deletes Fortnite by smashing its servers with the blunt end of an axe, because that's how people dramatically destroy servers in movies. With nowhere to yell the N-word while dressed as bananas, white preteens flock to Microsoft's new metaverse along with old and bewildered former The Facebook users. But the metaverse turns out to be just Minecraft in VR, which has been available since like 2016. Microsoft quickly goes under, and people with nothing left to do immediately crash Twitter by sharing too many Wordle scores. With gaming and the internet destroyed, the new dark age of Earth begins, and only a nameless few survive. I mean, it probably really will happen.
That sounds about right, really. Yeah.
So enjoying Wordle.
Yeah, me too. Actually, I've tried so hard not to. Yeah. So here's 9 games. Nothing to do with Activision Blizzard, but 9 games that are coming to Game Pass, definitely.
They won't be able to announce any Activision stuff yet. It's too early, way too early.
No, but we'll get to that in a second anyway. Danganronpa, Trigger Happy Havoc, Nobody Saves the World. They are already on there now, as of yesterday. As of tomorrow, we've got Death's Door, which is excellent if you haven't played that already. The Hitman Trilogy is coming to all formats on Game Pass. Paparazzi, which by name alone has me interested. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction. Tom Clancy, which is day 1 release. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege Deluxe Edition. Windjammers 2. We have January 27th, Tako no Tatsujin. And that's the ones that have been announced there. So in terms of the ones that we can expect from Activision, the pie in the sky ones, obviously, that World of Warcraft is coming to Xbox. Which
that's really interesting. Well, it'll be coming to Game Pass at least, maybe not Xbox.
It's not, as far as I'm aware, and maybe Dan and Jack can comment on this better than I can, but it's not really a competitor to Final Fantasy XIV at the moment, which is massive. But it is something that Xbox doesn't have, and they have something that could at least come close to what Final Fantasy XIV is doing. That's potentially been an idea that I've seen floated, that finally you get World of Warcraft on a console. But then you've got all the Diablo games potentially coming to Game Pass.
That's quite exciting. StarCraft as well.
StarCraft 2. Jack says, I wonder if possibly we could get the old Guitar Heroes on Game Pass. He says, probably going to be tricky with music rights. Yeah, that's going to be the biggest issue.
Also there's a couple of games that had Lost Prophets songs on them, so they will probably be excised, right?
You can get them those songs off there, I'm pretty certain.
Good.
And also, if they're going to bring Guitar Hero back, they've got to bring DJ Hero back as well. DJ Hero was lot of
Dan's
fun.
been scurrying in the loft to get all his little plastic instruments back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, DJ Hero was a lot of fun. All of the Tony Hawk games are owned by Activision.
Oh,
We
interesting.
could get all of them coming to game. Do you remember when
Yes.
Bethesda, they announced Bethesda, then all of a sudden, here's all the Fallout games, here's all the Doom games, and it's like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah,
I'm not
there's a
gonna play
lot
any
of
these, at least they're here.
37. There's a lot of 37 to 40-year-olds who just suddenly started crying at the thought of the Tony Hawk games.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Being able to play actual Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 again.
Yeah.
That was
It
my
was so beautiful.
jam.
It was so beautiful. I just,
Also, the Tony Hawk's games had amazing soundtracks.
Yeah, that might be the once again might be an issue.
The
isn't it?
soundtrack probably won't make it because
Yeah.
you'd have to renegotiate the music rights separately.
so there's lots of stock music going to be in there.
Obviously, like Overwatch. So Overwatch coming to Game Pass would be quite a nice thing, I think.
Yeah,
And I
that
would
was
imagine a
just- that's pop
sequel
on
as
there.
well.
Well, that's been in the works for ages, but apparently, like the problem is, Blizzard aren't producing anything good at the moment. Like all reports of everything they've got in the works aren't great, which includes apparently Diablo 4, which is slightly concerning.
It is.
But it should be coming. Jack says we need a No Way Home style game with Banjo, Crash, Spyro, Tony Hawk, and Conker teaming up to save the world.
Nice.
That would be fun.
That'd be good. Oh,
yeah, so-
Conker.
Yeah.
Bad Fur Day.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that back on
Yeah.
back on some consoles, uncensored.
Yeah. Crash Bandicoot, essentially, as well.
Yep.
Although I think they're already on there, aren't they? Overwatch, StarCraft, all the Call of Duty games, obviously.
I think that's probably that's the one where they will not, like, that's what everyone thinks of immediately. So they're not going to have done this deal if they couldn't go, oh, and by the way, here's all the Call of Duties for free on Game Pass day one.
Yeah.
Like, they're going
And
to
you know
want
what?
to do that.
I'll fucking play them again.
I'll play
Like,
through them again. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I just hope the console ports of I just hope the originals come with them because the first two Call of Duties are sublime even today.
Yeah, I never played them.
No,
So
me
I
neither.
would
The
like
second,
to.
I think the first one was the first game to have a Stalingrad based level, which just everyone lost their shit at because it was like playing Enemy at the Gates. It was amazing. It was so amazing. But
Jack
they tried.
from-
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, no, I'm going to change the subject. So carry on. Sorry.
I was just going to say, but they, because they really tried. They tried to make it feel like you were in a war movie, which incidentally is something actually we're going to be talking to a prestigious museum at some point about. We've been invited to talk to that. We're just firming up some dates at the moment, so we'll reveal more as we get closer to that. But I've had some details come through which are very exciting that I'm going to share with you guys at some points. But yeah, keep your eyes to the ground, ears to the ground, eyes to the ground, everything. Balls to the ground, vaginas to the ground. We're all inclusive here.
Jack also said, like I've said to Dan as well, I want the Age of Empire devs working on a new proper Worldcraft or Starcraft game as well. It's like it's all together, and that'd be a lot of fun. Jack also mentioned that Raven are the studio that brought us some of the Jedi Knight games, I believe.
They bought Jedi
Yeah,
Knight
Jedi Knight 2
Yeah,
Jedi Outcast and Academy.
Jedi Academy.
yeah, yeah. OG COD 2 was my favourite. Yeah, I think. Oh no, Modern Warfare 2 was my favourite. Sorry.
COD 2, yeah, COD 2 was great. The house-to-house fighting and the Pavlov's house mission is still some of my favourite, and also the Navarone beach storming was particularly good in that game. It was it felt like it included the Canadians. You fought as Canadians in it, which is brilliant because it wasn't a fucking war game that. Is this an actual real museum or Tom hiding behind a picture? Very good, very good, very good. Don't give away all our secrets because when people see behind the curtain, it's not pretty.
What do you mean, Tom hiding behind a picture? It's actual Ewan McGregor.
I didn't know that's what he was talking about.
McGregor.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, do people think that's a picture and not really him?
No,
Yeah.
he's got this weird
ridiculous.
skin condition that makes him look 2D.
Yeah, and he's practicing his ventriloquism, which is why his mouth doesn't move as well.
He's very, very talented. He's not just a triple threat. He's amazing.
Then Jack, Jack, you're getting a hell of a shout out on this one. Also, Raven made Ultimate Alliance, the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, from what I remember. I seem to remember the intro for that, and also that cool Wolverine game that was on PlayStation 2 as well.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
So loads of stuff, but the big ones are obviously anything Warcraft related, anything Overwatch related, and anything Call of Duty related. I think so. And Tony Hawk, I really want that now, but we'll see what happens.
Exciting.
Yeah. So we'll do some quick news. Daniel Radcliffe cast as Weird Al. Weird Al Yankovic in Roku original film.
Yeah, interesting this.
Yeah. I think it's quite good casting. I think he looks a bit like him. Yeah.
I mean, I would not have thought that Weird Al was someone in desperate need of a biopic, but
Why not?
He's a pretty interesting and likable person by all accounts.
Yeah.
And hilarious. And if we get some cool Weird Al songs during the film, then that's cool.
What's your favourite Weird Al song?
I love Amish Paradise.
I was going to say Amish Paradise. Yeah, that's up there.
It's absolutely. There's something in the fridge as well. It's the another Aerosmith parody, isn't it? So it's some based on something on the Living on the Edge or something, and there's something on the fridge. Is a great one.
Beat It was great as well. So Eat It was great, and I'm Fat just was great as well. So that's I like that one as well.
I quite like his the tinfoil one he does. Of that Lord. How do you pronounce her name? Lord. That one.
Lord
With an E.
Lordy with the metal band.
Lordy with an E.
Yeah, Lord.
Yeah.
Who it turns out is actually Randy Marsh.
Yeah. Yes.
I am Lord.
Dan says, "Can Daniel Radcliffe act now?" Remains to be seen.
Oh, come on.
No, he's good. Have you seen anything he's been in recently? He's good. He's a good actor.
Sure. Yeah.
No, he is. Did you watch Miracle Workers?
No, I didn't
It's
watch
excellent.
that one particular thing. No.
It's got Steve Buscemi in it. It's good.
I went to
it.
see Equus though when he was in it.
Did you?
Yeah.
He's meant to be very good in
that
that.
did actually happen. Yeah.
So you saw his
Yeah.
Schwing Schwang.
So his unit. Yeah. So his wand.
I've never, I never went to see it, but I have to ask you: is he packing?
Yeah, so he does all right. He's fine.
Good stuff. Good.
I mean, I could see it, and I was quite far back, so Dan also says
That's
Weird
because you
Al's.
had binoculars out.
Yeah.
And all you were doing was like this.
That's the whole time. Must have been quite off-putting me just going, "Show us dong!" the whole time. Yeah.
When's the dong coming out?
Yeah.
Whoa!
These 3D glasses are amazing.
Dan also says Weird Al's Eat It has to be his favourite. I think it might be. It is a really good one.
I just love that bit where he goes, ah! He puts his hand back and he's got a mousetrap on it. Ah!
Was his performance in Equus a bit wooden? No.
No, intrinsically flaccid.
Wasn't he in that? I never saw it, but he was in Women in Black?
Was he?
Woman in Black in the film, yeah.
He's in the film.
He's in the
version,
film Wooden Room. I thought you meant the stage show. The stage show is still the scariest thing I've ever done.
The stage show always shits me up. That moment where the lights go up and the woman in black is craning over him while he's sitting in the chair. Every single fucking time.
Yeah, my wife talks about that. They got taken to see it when they were doing like GCSE drama. Shit. And like they didn't know what they were going for. And she went to a girls' school. Yeah. So they're taking like this group of like 30 teenage girls and they were like, "Sir, the posters say this is like quite scary." And the teacher's like, "You'll be fine, get in there." And then it traumatized all of them.
Yeah, it'll do that. I
don't want to give anything away just in case anyone wants to go see it. Is it still on?
I think so, yeah.
The Woman in Black.
It's really fucking good.
It's one of the one of the most enduring stage shows of all time, I think.
Yeah. practically peed myself. I slept with the light on that night. I genuinely was so fucking scared.
It makes the notion of having a rocking chair anywhere in your house a complete no-go. It's like, I am not having a rocking chair because that's always where the ghosts sit.
Nope, not doing that.
I started reading it.
Yeah.
And I stopped because it was too scary. I was like, I'm just not doing this. I'm not doing this to myself.
There's one bit in the stage show that made me jump more than I've ever jumped at anything else in my life.
And that's impressive considering your legs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had 2 friends, and they both grabbed my arm at that particular point as well, which only made me poo myself a little bit more. But yeah, we got a new D&D book coming out. Monsters of the Multiverse showcases big changes to existing rules. I won't go into that. I don't think anyone really gives a shit about that. But got 33 races, 250 monsters. It looks like quite a good book. So they consolidated everything into one book.
The new Feywild one out.
Yeah, that's been out for a while.
That's out. Yeah, it's been out for a while.
So yeah.
But this new one is concentrating on, there's loads and loads of like playable new races, and it's kind of like consolidating stuff that's been published in like various bits and bobs. Yeah, which is the right thing to do as well. It's the anti-Games Workshop approach to it, but it is the right thing to do. But yeah. No, this is gonna be pretty cool. Star Trek Picard's John DeLance reveals why Q returns. Is in fact a Q of 34 years ago, he said. It would be unseemly to be playing in that way. He's older, more mature, and a lot more focused individual with a very strong internal motivation and a desire to get Picard to do something. But if I tried to do it the way I acted back then, I think it wouldn't be good. It is different, and it's intended to be a little different. Also, I mean, the actor playing him is not an immortal space god, so he's aged. Are you sure? I'm pretty certain John Delancey is. So I will not hear anything different. Have you guys seen the Moon Knight trailer?
Yes.
Yeah, looks very intriguing.
It does. So the big question is, do you like Oscar Isaac's accent in it? Because I really like it. I think it's fine. I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah. I had no problems. I thought it was fine. It looked really good.
It does look good, doesn't it?
Have you seen there's been a sort of not really it's like a teaser for the Lord of the Rings shows?
Yes.
And they've revealed that it's going to be called the Rings of Power?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Before we get to that, we've also got Ethan Hawke playing Arthur Harrow, who looks like a real like Lord Summerisle.
I love Ethan Hawke.
So I'm all for it. I'm all for this having shades of Wicker Man about it as well. Let's go.
I don't know much about Moon Knight, but it looks really interesting.
Yeah,
it's
very exciting.
A guy who
living a double life, basically. Imagine Fight Club in a comic. Yeah.
He has sleep problems. He's got he seems to have multiple personalities that actually probably come to the fore. And he's been chosen by an ancient Egyptian god to be his avatar, and so he goes out and at night kicking ass, and he gets wrapped up in white so that the bad guy, and thank you Phil Knuckles for this, because Phil filled us in on this, but he apparently wears white because make sure the bad guys know that he's coming.
Yeah, so like he's the antithesis of who he is in real life, basically.
Yeah.
Which is the point of it. So yeah.
But it has got the British music. It does look so good. I love the build up.
Yeah.
The film, the trailer just makes it feel so different. Like it's obviously still kind of it's still MCU, but it's a bit darker.
He's a more mentally unstable Batman, Jack says. Yeah.
It's like Batman that doesn't know he's Batman.
Yeah. And also it's got Moorhead and Benson directing, who did one of my favourite films of the last few years, The Endless. So that makes me very happy. This is right up their alley. That when someone suggested who would you have direct a video game movie, my first suggestion was Moorhead and Benson directing an Oxenfree film, and I would watch the shit out of that. That would be amazing. That's the kind of thing, and this kind of plays into exactly the kind of thing they'll do. It's some sad news that Gaspard Ulliel died in a skiing accident as well. He's in the Moon Knight TV series. It's said to be in a serious condition, but the French actor has since died riding along the Alps when he suffered an accident on the slopes. So really sad news. actor from Moon Knight. We did mention that there is a Lord of the Rings teaser, and it's the most teasery teaser yet, I think.
Oh, it's literally just the name of the show.
Yeah.
And that poem about the rings of power.
Yeah.
And who got what.
Yeah. Who got what? Elves, they got rings. Humans, they got rings. Dwarves, they got rings. Sauron, he got a ring. His ring's the best one.
I did like the way that in the trailer they really go to lengths to pronounce it Mordor.
Mordor.
Really lent into it.
I haven't actually seen the trailer yet.
It's not. It's literally just the words, the rings of power, and that 9 were gifted to mortal men doomed to die poem. Is it 9? Yeah, there's 9 for humans.
Yeah.
7 for
Dwarf Lords?
7 for the dwarves and 3 for the elves, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
3 rings for the elven kings in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
7 rings for the dwarven lords in the halls of stone. 9 rings for mortal men doomed to die.
And 1 for the big ass.
1 ring for the dark lord
That's what he
on
called
his
himself
dark
back
throne. In Mordor, where the shadows lie.
Yeah, but it's not Mordor. It's Mordor.
Mordor.
Yeah.
Mordor.
There's been a murder.
There's been a murder in Mordor.
So I'm intrigued by
Murder
this.
in Mordor. I get tired there.
Apart from the name, the only thing that everyone keeps saying about this is that it's the most expensive TV show ever made, which is not. All that means is somebody spent a load of money on it. It doesn't actually mean it's going to be any good. So let's see.
Jack says it doesn't sound right without Cate Blanchett's voice. It kind of doesn't. It does sound weird.
But don't they kind of have to keep this as separate from the films as possible, don't they?
They're not allowed to even mention the movies, are they? In this one?
Well, they can't. They can't mention basically anything that happens in the Third Age of Middle Earth.
Kingsman is coming to Disney Plus on the 1st of February. The King's Man.
This is the prequely one.
Yep. That's really soon. Really quick. That's coming.
I'm kind of mildly interested. I've heard sort of mixed
it,
things about that.
Yeah. I like the bit in the poem when they loudly sing 5 gold rings.
Yeah.
E3 has probably been cancelled altogether in 2022. I mean,
fair enough, really.
Fine.
Isn't E3 just going to be Xbox plus Sony?
Well, yeah, by that time they'll have bought everyone, so yeah, it's no doubt. Dying Light 2 Nintendo Switch release a date delayed. Dying Light 2 is coming out on the Switch. That was what I got from that. That surprised me somewhat. This is meant to be a 100-hour game that's coming out on the Switch. Is it going to be £200 when it comes out on the Switch? Is that what's going to happen? Because Switch games aren't cheap. Skyrim is still £60 from what I understand on the Switch. I could get a copy of Skyrim for the Xbox for about £2, I think, if I went to CEX.
But you could also just play it on Game Pass.
Exactly, I can just play it on Game Pass.
Fuck you, PlayStation.
Yeah, fuck you, Play. Do you know where I couldn't play it? On Game Pass. Fucking PlayStation.
Fucking PlayStation. Ah, so shit.
Yeah, fuck you. Yeah. Ooh, look, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, Last of Us.
God of War is the greatest game ever. Which
is now on PC. So,
yeah, it's on PC as well. So fuck you. 60 FPS, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually quite like all of those games. So, it's, that's that.
That gap in the middle of my beard's come back. Oh, easy. Oh no, we've lost him.
Broke me. Again, Tom.
Sorry, mate.
I liked it.
Your beard is looking very soft and luxurious at the moment.
We haven't even mentioned,
Thanks,
God, it's all depressing news apart from semi-depressing news. And this is depressing news. Ray Fisher responds to Joss Whedon's Justice League movie comments. So Joss Whedon came out to defend himself and made himself look even more of a prick than he looked before. So
yeah, it's called doing a Prince Andrew.
Yeah, it really is. Fucking yes. He
didn't make himself look very good in this.
No, he didn't. He made himself look like he came out with comments.
My personal highlight was suggesting that Gal Gadot didn't understand what he meant because English isn't her first language.
Yep.
Come on, mate. Don't be even more of a prick.
So what it did for me was confirm everything that everyone is saying about him. Like, he came out and said something, went, Yeah, that all sounds about right, doesn't it, really? Just by these comments, so yeah. Jack says, I want Microsoft to buy Disney now and somehow forcefully get the Spider-Man license back. Microsoft can't buy everyone. I did see a hilarious comment about how Microsoft are trying to break Japan, so they bought Japan, which made me laugh quite a lot.
But it is an insane amount of money. Like, Disney bought Star Wars for $4 billion.
Yeah.
Which sounds cheap in comparison. It's a crazy, crazy amount of money flying around.
Yeah. Well, people are beginning to go, hang on, I think there's money in the games industry. Did you see how much money that Grand Theft A5 made? Made a ton of money.
There are a lot of rumours that Take-Two are going to be are on their acquisition list.
Well, whose acquisition list?
On Microsoft's.
Fuck off! They just bought Zynga for like 18 million or something.
I doubt they're going to make any high-profile purchases anytime soon, because everyone in the games industry, their share prices have all shot up because there's rumours that they're going to get taken over by Microsoft. Apart from Sony's, who had about $18 billion wiped off their market cap today.
And the fact that they're all doing their shopping in Aldi this month now, because they can't afford to like get their usual like Waitrose delivery. So it's different. Anyway, yeah, Ray Fisher responded with some incredibly classy comments. So he's kind of covered himself in glory, deserved glory, and Joss Whedon's looking like even more of a piece of shit, basically. Ray Fisher's exact words were, "Looks like Joss Whedon got to direct an Endgame after all." Rather than addressing all the lies and the buffoonery today, I will be celebrating the legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Tomorrow the work continues. So yeah, Joss Whedon, piece of shit.
Yeah,
didn't see that coming in the early 2000s, but here we go.
Here we go.
And turns out he is. And here we are. I'll tell you what. That's it.
We out.
Well done. Very nice. Thank you, Dan.
Nice.
Well, look, thank you very much to everyone who watched us on the stream today. Wave, that's why they're here. Wave. It's our way of saying thank you. And also, thank you very much for listening to us. If you did listen to us, thank you. You're helping our figures look very, very convincing at the moment. So really appreciate that. Just want to say, obviously, this is a subject that has very, very many facets, and we'd love to hear your opinions on them. So do hit us up on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at TMTOOH. And if you want to join in any conversations, please do head to our Instagram channel, look on the bio, and you will find a link to our Discord server as well, where all sorts of chats and bits and bobs are going on there as well. Dan, do you want to tell us what pods are going to be going up before we wrap this baby up?
Right, so I've put all the pods up. We are now up to date with all the pods, and we will be up to date with all the pods on a weekly basis now, I promise. It's one of my New Year's resolutions is to make sure that Too Much Time on Our Hands podcasts go up on time. So by Friday, this podcast will be up on Spotify and iTunes and all the other podcatchers. You can, of course, if you want to rewatch it and do whatever you want to do to it whilst you're watching it, that will be up on YouTube. We can't tell you what to do.
Entirely unnecessary
you live
detail.
Live your lives, whatever. I don't care. And I think we've probably got a Marvel one going up soon. We want to talk about the Moon Knight trailer and there's some other stuff we want to talk about as well. We have just done on Marveling Marvel our wrap up of 2021, top 5 non-Marvel films, top 5 non-Marvel TV series, and the 9 Marvel products that were released this year in order. And that was a lot of fun. So yeah,
just watched Eternals. Really good.
I liked Eternals.
I loved
I think it got some shit that it didn't deserve. But there we go.
It's just it wasn't what some people were expecting, I think, but I really liked it.
Yeah, I think I do agree with what a lot of people are saying, that it would have made a very good TV series. But then I think we've been spoiled with how good their TV series are. So, but yeah.
Well, there we go.
Alternatively, Dan says you can just watch the stream.
You
If
could
you listen to this, you could just be watching the stream.
You don't have to listen to any podcasts.
No.
Yeah, and then exactly. Nice one, Dan.
Just get on with your life.
Exactly. It's only 9 until 10, every Wednesday. It's what else are you going to do? I mean, Anyway, thanks, guys.
Thanks everyone that's been.
Thanks everyone.
Absolutely.
Thanks all of you out there. So no further ado. Let's say our goodbyes. Goodbye, Duncan.
Cheery bye.
Goodbye, Dan. Kun.
There was a lot more in there than I thought. Hello. Goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye, Russ.
Tra-choc.
It's goodbye from me, Tom. And on that note, let's cue that music.